Good evening, everybody. Welcome into Auto Rhythm Fancy Sports. I'm Jamie. We got Eli, and we have Mikey V as a guest for a little while, anyways. So thank you, Mikey V, for jumping on with us for a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I know Eli is all shooken up over here. Looks like his mic is muted at the moment, but yeah, welcome in everybody. It's Tuesdays. It's time to get those claims in and all kinds of exciting stuff. Monday night's game was exciting. Terrible with Chubb. That was kind of gruesome. I don't. Did you see the recap of his the video, Mikey?
I did, and man, what a gruesome injury. I did not think it looked bad when it was going in live time, and when they said they weren't showing it, I was like, shit, that's not good. So
Yeah, because when I saw the the replay, it just looked like he just flipped over. I'm like,
yeah,
gruesome. I'm like, I don't see anything gruesome, and I seen somebody on Twitter like actually like do the video. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, yeah, he's done for the season. He's not coming back.
yeah. And it's the same. It's the same leg too that he messed up in college. So I
Yep,
feel
yep.
bad for the guy. He's old faithful, reliable running back, slam dunk, top 10 pick every year in fantasy, and it just sucks that he's out. So
Yeah, it does. It does. But yes, welcome into Odd Rhythm Fancy Sports, everybody. Our Discord link is in the description, so jump in there, join us there. We also got all those nice, lovely like podcasts, whatever you call it, you put in your ears and listen to all that audio cool stuff. But we got it, yeah, Spotify, which is our favorite, Google Podcasts, and I think I can't remember the other one, Apple, whatever. All those nice little things down there. So click and subscribe and all that fun stuff for us if you guys can. We appreciate it. Oh, so is there anything that you saw over this weekend, Mikey, that you took away from the weekend?
yeah, it's crazy too. I think a lot of people overreact over 2 weeks. And it's tough not to when you see these guys perform. Some of these guys that we were maybe not accustomed to seeing, guys like Puka Nakua, obviously. You get guys, even Jahmyr Gibbs, who's not necessarily getting the ball like we thought he would. For those of you guys who have been following me, if you follow me on Twitter, know that I was out on Jahmyr Gibbs given his current draft price in all formats, especially in redraft. Dynasty, I was in on him. Redraft, I was out on him given his draft price. And again, obviously, things happen where we have to pivot, like the Chubb injury, the Barkley injury, and you got to add guys, Eckler, whatever it may be. I've already gotten questions in terms of like, hey, should I drop Joshua Kelly after his dud that he laid on Sunday? No, you hang on to him. It's one game, right? You're playing the long game here with fantasy football. It's not as quickly as adding and dropping guys. You got to be patient, especially for the guys that are struggling. Jamar Chase sucked again. Joe Burrow sucked again. I mean, it's one of those things too where a lot of people are like, the world's on fire. Jamar Chase sucked. I spent the number 1 overall pick on him, and he's not doing anything. Patience, people. Patience. So that's the overall arching theme here for me going into week 3.
Yeah, I have quite a few shares of Chase as well, and I'm just like, it's like, God damn it! Like, yeah, it was a horrible week for me. I actually went 9-8 in all my leagues this week. Last week I went 10-7 the first week. So yeah, I got to do some. I have actually Chubb in one of my leagues, so I'm like, yeah. So I was actually scouring the waiver wire and no Ford. So I have to. My last options are Matt Breida. So I actually have to try to get Matt Breida. Yeah, it really sucks for me at the moment. So Mr. Eli, you're kind of quiet over there for a moment. I think he's got some audio issues.
Oh, I'm checking out the landscape. Side here. Oh, yeah. I don't know where to start with this week. I look like one of those 60s like Charles Manson like murderer guys or whatever. But I
was gonna say I'm the only one without shades on.
I don't know. It's a lot of injuries going on. There's too many. Right. Yeah, there's too many to keep up with. We prepped a lot of this show. Probably Sunday, Monday between the two of us, and just just last night, Nick Chubb. I mean, probably the second or third best, most reliable. Last 5 years, probably the most reliable running back in the league. Second or third best, behind CMC probably. So he's out. We already had Eckler out. And then Saquon got injured Sunday, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the waivers. So I mean, this couldn't be a more plentiful week in terms of finding guys. Kendre Miller, Tony. I thought Tony Jones was a boxer. Tony Jones Jr. from the Saints. I mean, he'll be out there. Jerome Ford. Everybody's going to be fighting to get him. Eric Gray, who we had talked about over the summer, the rookie from Oklahoma, the Giants took. I'm not sold on Matt Breida. Never have been. I mean, he was a second or third string running back with the Vikings for years. I mean, that's his claim to fame. So I don't trust him. So that'd be an opportunity for somebody like Eric Gray to work his way up the depth chart, get some looks. If Saquon's going to be out at least Thursday, so we know he'll be out at least probably 1 week. So that'll probably Matt Breida will start more than likely, but I just think if it turns into a longer term thing that you could be looking at Eric Gray or them trading for somebody. I put it in the bottom of the scroll here. I don't know if you guys had seen that at all. It was kind of a small thing on Twitter, but Cam Akers is unhappy. Yeah, go figure. So they might. There's talks between the Bucs and the Rams right now in terms of maybe moving Cam Akers, and that would open up opportunities for him. And then if you're a Rams fan, you got Zach Evans and Kyron Williams with the Rams, so that that would keep their usage or increase Zach Evans, but Kyron Williams probably help him carry it on a little longer. So I thought that was a good side note. If the Bucs can't land Kareem Hunt or Jonathan Taylor, I mean, that'd be a nice addition with Cam Akers. But yeah, they're going into week 3. There's a ton, and I'm glad we were able to do this tonight. Usually we can only do it, Wednesdays for our show tonight because there's a ton of waivers. Lots of got my gavel this week. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, and we'll get in and we'll get into some of those waivers too, because we'll kind of get that toward the end of our show. We got recapping we have some highlight players, which I will be highlighting. If you guys don't catch this, I have a playlist on YouTube. We'll be highlighting every guy that we highlighted tonight. Will be a short clip on YouTube going forward. We got some DFS stuff. We got some college spotlights and all that good fancy stuff for you, and my ghosted for this week. And yeah, it's kind of surprising who I got this time around, and yeah, it's quite interesting. It's it's kind of like those guys who shit the bed, but I called it ghosting. It's like that girl you want to talk to, but she ends up just not showing up, kind of thing. So yeah, it's our new little segment. I think it's kind of fun, kind of different. Instead of saying shit the bed, I'm saying it's just ghosting, man.
That happens all the time.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, which way you want to go, Eli?
Hey, real quick before I gotta get going, guys. But I also want to piggyback off of what Eli said in terms of the injury aspect of it. And again, this is what makes fantasy football great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying injuries are great, but at the same time too, this is what makes it fun for me in terms of pivoting and finding guys on the waiver wire. Like Eli had just mentioned, right? We talked about Gray, maybe being on a guy that most people aren't going to be in on or may not know a whole lot about. That's what makes fantasy fun for me in terms of, hey, you know what? Everybody's going to at some point in all of your leagues that you're in, every single team, fantasy football team is going to have to deal with injuries and have to pivot from guys who get hamstring pulls, ankle injuries, knee injuries, out for the season, out for 6 weeks, whatever it may be. That's what makes fantasy fun for me, is finding these guys who are a little bit less known. So if you follow college football and you see some of these rookies or some of these guys who are year 2, year 3 players that can help your teams this year, at least in the short term. But the season's not over. If you lost Nick Chubb, hell, it's week 2, man. If you're able to get Jerome Ford and you're able to go out and snag a couple of these guys that can help you in the short term, I don't think you're going to find anybody who's going to replace the value that Nick Chubb gave you. But at the same time, too, you can scrap together and piece these things together to still get you in the playoffs. And all you have to do is make the dance. I've said this since the day I started playing fantasy football. You can't win it unless you're in it, right? So you got to be able to make, and anything can happen come playoff time. So all you got to do is get there. So I got to run, guys. I appreciate you let me come on here and say a couple things. Let's schedule something. I would love to come on here and do a full show with you guys. During the week. During the week is extremely tough for me, especially with my son and doing obviously the show on Palazzo. But we'd love to come on here and do more stuff with you guys.
Yeah, no, not a problem at all. Yeah, we'll figure out something. I know we kind of have in the works of probably a Saturday show.
Cool.
It's something me and him done before. It's kind of like our last minute. It's kind of like what you guys are doing in the morning for Sundays, but we used to do it on
Last
like
call.
Saturday night.
That
Yeah.
screams your name, Mike. Come on. Oh.
But yeah, it's something we kind of just get together. We just kind of either pause, we did a little drinking, and we're like, well, hey, you need to swap this guy up for this guy. So it was kind of fun, and yeah, it's something. I got a nice little video clip for our last call segment, and I have to get Govier to. I sent him a clip that he needs to make into a sound clip for me for the show. So it would be kind of fun and interesting. So I think we're thinking Saturday sometime, but probably not this. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's this week or not, but we're working on some stuff. I'm working on some graphics and all that stuff for that and whatnot. So, but yeah,
I'm happy to do that, man. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. That's for sure. Just a couple drinks and talk some football and talk some guys into waivers or not waivers, lineup decisions if they have any, things. So, kind of fun.
That's fun. Good stuff. All right, you guys have a good rest of the show. Good luck with your lineups this week, and we'll be in touch soon.
Yes, you too, Mikey.
All right.
Have fun.
Later, guys.
Later.
Yeah, man. Thanks for stopping in. Good night.
Oh, but anyways, back to our regular scheduled programming.
Regularly, I can't say it either.
I know the cat has my tongue tonight. I can't talk properly. But no, anyways, yeah, it was a crazy weekend. I watched a lot of the afternoon games. I had to go back and actually kind of highlight, or I went back and watched some highlights of the other games. That the Lions game was kind of crazy, interesting. Lions lost. Josh Reynolds. We'll talk about him in our waivers later on. That was quite. He did a lot more than expected, which just came out of the blue. A lot of the afternoon games, the Cowboys looked great. We'll talk about some of those guys later on too as well. But the Cowboys looked pretty good. They just annihilated freaking, the Jets. Garrett Wilson looked good. Breece Hall and all those other guys didn't really look that great. The Commanders was an interesting game. It's
took that pimp hand. I'll just say quick, Jay. Took that pimp hand straight to the Jets.
Yep.
Let them have
pretty much, right? But the Denver was rocking. Don't get me wrong. Denver was actually rocking that game, and I'm like, all right, this is another watch game. But Sam Howell came back, freaking lighted it up. They looked freaking great. They came back and won the game. So I was like, hell yeah, Denver, you suck. But other than that, the Dolphins Patriots game was kind of so. It wasn't like really great. The Mustard run, I saw that it looked tremendous. It was great. Bad part about it is I had Mustard actually on my bench. So there was like 30 some odd points just sitting there on my bench, which really, really sucked. And I'm like, God, why? But overall, the Monday's games, I was really just at first I was really disappointed with the Panthers and all that good fun stuff. That game started out really slow and there was really no points, and I was really disappointed to see how Bryce Young wasn't really, targeting a lot of guys. The run game was kind of really shitty. They got a few things going towards the fourth quarter. Thielen was mostly their target guy. Mingo was kind of tossed in. Like earlier in the game, Mingo wasn't really doing anything. DJ Shark, he wasn't really doing anything. Mingo ended up getting a little bit more targets toward the end in the fourth quarter there. But yeah, there was a highlighted guy we'll talk about from the Steelers Browns game. Other than that, it was it's pretty typical with these Browns Steelers games. It's gonna be either little low scoring until somebody breaks loose, and then it's the whole different ball game. But those are some of my kind of other takeaways from this weekend.
Yeah. While you're thinking there, I was gonna get something in quick. Steelers. Any hype around that team needs to just be flushed down the toilet. You know how I love props. I'm about ready to take my little notebook here, rip up some paper, and throw it in the toilet because that's where the Steelers offense belongs. Awful. Okay. George, honestly, Pickens is the only guy, the only dude that has any fantasy value, and that's including our boy Freiermuth. I mean, we came into the season top 10 tight end so far through 2 games. He's barely a top 20 tight end, and that's no indictment on him. But I mean that offensive line is terrible. Yeah, Steelers are lucky to be 1-1. Najee doesn't look like the same back. He looks like he's about to be replaced by Jalen Warren. We might talk about later in the show for pickups. Kenny Pickett looks awful. Yeah, I had to get my 2 cents in on the Steelers. I'm not doing the book of Eli tonight, but if I was, I would obliterate that damn Steelers offense because that's a joke.
Yeah. The other crazy part of this game was the Giants Cardinals was the other afternoon game, and I was like starting to think the Giants just couldn't put shit together. I mean, they couldn't just get anything rolling. They, that they almost had 0 points in the first, start of the, in the first 2 weeks of the season, just not doing anything that, they just couldn't get anything going. I mean, it's just Daniel Jones couldn't, wasn't reading anything. He was just looking awful. And I mean, didn't know what the hell was going on with his offense. And next thing you know, I think something must have clicked. I mean, it's Jalen Hyatt. I mean, he was the better wide receiver out of all.
I'll tell you what clicked. I'll tell you what clicked, Jay. It was our boy Jalen Hyatt. That's what clicked. Speed kills.
I mean, he had two nice receptions there, and I think he had like 70, not quite almost 100 yards. I think it was 73 or almost 80 yards. But yeah, I like Hyatt. We talked about Hyatt too with, when we did our NFC East divisional preview, we talked about, all their wide receivers combined and trying to figure out who could be their one, especially with Sterling Sharp and, Wan'Dale Robinson coming back and all that stuff, So, I mean, I still think they're just trying to figure out who their identity is because they don't have anything right now. Then, especially with Barkley not being there almost, it's possibly be gone for 3 weeks. So you could have the Matt Breida, Eric Gray show for probably a good 3 weeks from the sounds of it. So, yeah.
It ain't gonna. They ain't beating the 49ers. So if you got any of these fantasy, maybe through the air, maybe you could start a Giants receiver possibly. Daniel Jones has been a joke, but I mean, 2 quarterback league, he's a must start still. But in terms of the running backs, I would stay. There are plenty of other options. I mean, we mentioned them, with Mike there 5-10 minutes ago, like Jerome Ford and possibly Jalen Warren from Pittsburgh. There's other options out there other than Matt Breida. I'm not a Matt Breida. I don't trust the guy. Eric Gray, we got to wait till he gets some substantial touches because right now he's just a kick returner guy. And so he'll probably be worked in, but it's going to get for the Giants for Thursday. 49. I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers shut him out. I mean, the Cowboys did. And the 49ers are like, the 49ers are like, hold my beer, and then they'll go and they'll crush them like 31-0. I wouldn't be and Thursday night, short week, I wouldn't be surprised the 49ers won like 31-0. So I would stay the hell away from pretty much all the Giants offensive players this week.
Yeah. Eric says Hyatt. I'm like, yeah, Hyatt is a guy we talked about in our divisional previews, a rookie that came in that he had a few good pops here, here and there. Go ahead.
No, well, Eric's just excited, because he's like, I thought, because we watched the Tennessee game. I had Eric on the phone actually Saturday night, and we were watching the Tennessee Florida game, and it was crazy, going back to the collegiate level, just how depleted Tennessee's offense is compared to last year. When they had Hendon Hooker, who's with the Lions now, they had Cedric Tillman, who's with the Browns, Jalen Hyatt, who we think is going to be a stud with the Giants. It's crazy how depleted that team looked. But yeah, Jalen Hyatt, I'd say going forward, keep it on this Giants team, man. Like, if anybody's going to pop starting after week 4, because they ain't doing nothing against the 49ers Thursday, it's going to be Jalen Hyatt, possibly Wan'Dale Robinson if he's healthy. I didn't mind what I saw from Wan'Dale last year in his rookie season, so maybe there's something there. Everybody else I don't trust. They're too injury prone.
Yeah, and that's about right too. I I kind of want to see him get a little bit more involved, but man, you got Darius Slayton there, and so they have a slew of wide receivers, but it's just hard saying what the hell they're going to do with all of them. If they can't get anything, can't get the offense going, then there's not going to be offensive stuff going. So there's going to be nothing going. So I mean, maybe this is a small showing, but I mean, I think they'll put up a fight against the Niners. I mean, they're gonna have to throw it if they get behind. I mean, that's just gonna be a fact. So somebody's gonna be getting these targets no matter what. So I mean, if it's gonna be Slayton, Hyatt, so it's very possible that somebody's gonna get something. So, but I think that kind of covers some of the over the weekend stuff. If was there anything else, we'll kind of jump into some of the highlighted players, so we get to waivers and all that good fun stuff. But yeah, everybody, we're here live at Odd Rhythm Fantasy Sports. Come join us in the Discord, not Discord, but all the chats and all that stuff. And guys, have any questions, lineup decisions, or just anything in general, just come join us. But yeah, I think it's time to get some of these highlighted players. So if you
Light
guys
my fire, baby.
So if you guys don't catch our stream, I'll have a lot of these highlighted players that we highlighted in my highlighted playlist on YouTube. So you can go back and listen to what we mentioned about these guys and all that fun stuff. So, but yeah, our first up is lovely Mike Evans. 29 fantasy points. He was on 61% of snaps. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions for 171 yards. Yards per catch, was 28.5, and he had 1 freaking touchdown, man. Oh, man, these Buccaneers is starting to looking like something else. At first, I'm like, well, I thought they were going to be 0-2, honestly, and just seeing some of these highlighted of Mike Evans looks like he just torched these guys, just lit these guys up, and contract having contract issues and all that stuff. So and Mike Evans maybe not being back, and maybe this is him showing somebody's like he got something left in the tank. And what I saw, I still like Mike Evans, and I have a few shares. I think I have a few shares of him somewhere, but keep Mike Evans in your guys' lineups for sure. He's still their number one guy there. I mean, if Baker gets into if Baker has issues, he's going to toss the ball to Mike Evans. This guy's huge. He's tall, man. He's got good 50-50 ball skills. So, I mean, from what I saw, dude, I was freaking impressed with Mike Evans. Even though he's up there in age, dude, if he does another 1,000 yards and one more, he's going to pass Jerry Rice for all time having 1,000 yards every season. With Baker there,
This has been just to close off on the Mike Evans here, Jay. This has been the year of the resurgence of the old receiver. You think about look at Robert Woods is doing with Houston, DeAndre, what he's doing with the Titans, Mike Evans with the Bucks, Devontae Adams. I know he got hurt on against the Bills on Sunday, but Devontae's still putting up his numbers. He's over 30. So it's kind of like a resurgence, renaissance for older receivers, which is good. I mean, we see all these older backs getting hurt. I mean, Nick Chubb, being one of them, being 28 and going down for the year. So it's good. It's good to see, for the health of the league, not just everybody's going to be on that 1 or 2 year, 1 contract or 2 contracts and, be on the next team. I mean, you might have a 10-year guy like Mike Evans, and it's, I'm glad we kept him. I mean, I'm more than happy, man. I honestly, I thought we'd be 1-1. I thought we'd beat the, before the season started, I thought we'd lose to the Vikings, and I thought we'd beat the Bears. But I mean, we're a game better than I thought we'd be, and can't be happier.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, with him, still kind of being, their kind of go-to guy, and Baker needing someone like him. I mean, even though they do got Godwin there, I mean, for those deep balls, I mean, yeah, Evans is going to be that guy that everybody's going to need. I mean, it comes down to, with him even having this great game. I mean, one can maybe if you could probably sell high on him right now if all possible. I mean, with him, who knows how many more games he's going to have like this. I mean, if you want to, go trade him for somebody else. If somebody loves Mike Evans, sucker them into Mike. Hey, here's Mike Evans. I mean, that's just my thought. I mean, maybe he might have one more.
You could get a deal. I was gonna say, Jay, you could probably get a deal right now. Mike Evans for George Pickens and another player, right?
Yeah, there we go.
If you want to go younger, you want to go with a younger guy who's got some upside, who's a number 1 somewhere else. Yeah, you could definitely put a package together. I think that'd make a lot of sense because you're getting a second year guy who's going to be probably the Steelers' number one the next probably 5-6 years, and then you package in maybe a running back, maybe one of these guys that kind of came out of nowhere or is a future back now. For
sure.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that's something we could bring up in a future segment or something. Is like trade. As the trade deadline gets closer, with the NFL and fantasy, we kind of work out the kinks these first few weeks on our teams. Maybe the trades will start rolling through. Week 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. But yeah, that's interesting to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then before we get to our next highlighted player here, quick, Eric mentions Baker could be this year's Geno Smith. It's very well possible the way he's been playing right now. Yeah, he I mean, especially with all the weapons he has, as wide receivers. I mean, Rashad White, he actually looked pretty decent for a running back. I mean, some of the plays I've seen. I mean, he didn't look bad, but at least it's somebody to get carries from. If you need a running back,
and the piggyback on that, the Bucs have the Seahawks quarterback coach from last year, Dave Canales. So Dave Canales is now the OC with the Bucs, and he was Geno's coach last year. So it would make sense, maybe he's the new quarterback whisperer. You know what I mean? He comes in and he kind of salvages quarterbacks that everybody kind of gave up on. Maybe that's kind of his thing. So we'll wait and see. I mean, Baker right now, we'll talk about him probably in the waivers coming up. But yeah, Baker's been very impressive.
Yep. Our next guy is George Pickens. The Pickens. Pickens.
There we go.
Pickens.
There we go.
I know it's always hard to say, but I mean, Pickens looked freaking great last night, man. I mean, with Deontay Johnson being out, if you got to trade for this guy, go trade for him. I mean, I love him over Deontay Johnson. I mean, he wasn't even the crazy part is that he was barely involved last night at all. And then all of a sudden he just was, 4 receptions. I mean, this guy is electric. I mean, I tried drafting him as much as I could in a lot of my leagues, if all possible. I mean, he had 22 points, played on most of 85% of the snaps, 10 targets. Out of those 10 targets, he had 4 receptions. I mean, this guy is electric as well. I mean, 127 odd yards, man. That's plain insane. I saw that deep ball. It was long, 70 some odd yard touchdown. I was like, dude, 1 reception. It's like, dude, this guy's gone. So, I mean, even though this game was kind of like wishy-washy at the beginning, but Pickens is the deal, man. If you can go trade for this guy, he had 1 touchdown too as well. I just trying to think of who could you, if you're trading for him, what kind of guy would do, I guess you would have to look at it package wise to see who you can probably package him with. Maybe Amari Cooper could Amari Cooper trade. Maybe I'm not sure.
I have to piggyback, because we were just talking about Mike Evans, and I kind of brought up the George Pickens idea because he's not quite Mike Evans, but he could be in a couple. Maybe at the end of the year, maybe he's Mike Evans. I mean, he keeps putting up 100-yard plus games and tutties. I mean, he might be right where Mike Evans is at. But I was thinking Isaiah Pacheco and George Pickens for Mike Evans. Like if that was a hypothetical trade, would you do that? Or hey, if you guys, anybody out there that's watching, if you have a comment too, go ahead and chime in. But that's just a hypothetical trade. Isaiah Pacheco from the Chiefs and George Pickens for Mike Evans, straight up. I think that's a deal I would do. You'd fill a couple spots there.
I mean, if you need a running back, yeah, I mean, I have Isaiah and on my bench, and it's just hard saying. It's with that situation, I wouldn't know. Maybe find someone else in that situation, and maybe a different running back possibly. But yeah, other than that, I probably would pass on that because I just don't know where Isaiah really falls into their offense. But I mean, if you needed somebody, yeah, if he pops, then you could probably trade him, see if somebody else wants him. But yeah, overall, yeah, I'm in love with Pickens. Great, great overall player in general. I mean, he started out slow last year, but this year, I'm all in on him. I mean, if those two with Pickett and Pickens can keep this up, I mean, this is going to be a nice 1-2 duo. I mean, this is like the next like Allen Diggs, quarterback wide receiver duo kind of thing. So All right. You know the next highlighted guy is
Well,
Puka.
just to piggyback quick, Jay, Pickett's got to pick it up though. Kenny Pickett, he played better in the second half, but that Steelers offense, they gotta start doing something because Najee ain't doing nothing. Freiermuth ain't doing nothing. We know Deontay Johnson's out. They shouldn't be depending on Allen Robinson to be their number 2. I mean, come on now. But yeah, Pickens is amazing.
Yeah. We'll get to some of that other stuff. We'll get some of that in the waivers too here. Next guy is Puka Kanua. Man, this guy, I mean, 20 targets, 15 receptions. I mean, why this guy should have had a touchdown. And this would have topped everybody this weekend. But I was kind of watching this and I was just like, dude, he was just catching everything and doing like this guy it's like he's got glue on his gloves. So I mean, it's like it's almost like Spider-Man. He's got those spider webs on his gloves. He's just catching the balls like crazy, But 30 points, he was on 86% of the snaps, 20 targets. I mean, he actually had the record of 20 targets within a game. He surpassed somebody from I think the 1960s. I think from the Niners. I can't remember who it was or somebody. I think it was another rookie. But they had it showing. I can't remember offhand who that was, but it was a Niners guy he surpassed for having many targets as a rookie coming in the first couple weeks of the game, which is insane. But I mean, overall analysis on Puka with Cooper Kupp maybe coming back within after his 4-week stint. I think Puka is a guy you still want to get have in your lineups. I think Jefferson will still kind of be in there, but Tutu Atwell, I think already surpassed. I think Puka already surpassed Tutu when it comes to the way he looks, the way he's running his routes and whatnot. So I think he already established that he will be the third guy in this offense when Kupp does come back, if and when and how healthy he is too as well. So once Kupp does come back, we'll have to kind of see how things kind of pan out. But for right now, play your Puka in all your lineups until further notice.
Yeah, well, and Chris Jericho from AEW Wrestling, they call him the demo god. This is the target god. I mean, this guy, I forget what it was week 1, but it was something crazy. It was probably up near 15 or 17. Had 20 targets this game. Just incredible. Matt Stafford stays healthy, and the Rams keep this up. I mean, they're going to beat the Bengals on Monday night, and he's probably going to have another big game because Baltimore was moving up and down the field on the Bengals defense. The Browns were week 1, so I don't see that stopping. I could easily see another 12 catch game from Puka coming up. Tutu Atwell isn't far off that. When we talk about waivers, his percentage is starting to go up, especially in Yahoo. So I kind of kept him off the list that I'm going to be doing, but Tutu's still out there. And when Cooper, it's going to take Cooper a couple weeks, man, when he comes back. So, they said week 5, he'll be back. I would give it till week 6 or 7. So you might have another maybe 4 games to get the most out of Puka. So really take advantage of this because he'll fall back into place, into the probably number 2 receiver role, which would be, it'd be one of the, honestly, nobody saw this coming, but this kid could be one of the best number 2s in the league. If you think about it, I mean, if he kind of keeps up this pace, I mean, that's a lethal combo. And then Tutu Atwell stepping up, being a solid number 3. And then they can finally, kind of cast Van Jefferson to the side. Guy didn't know what he was doing out there. I was watching a little bit of that 49ers game. Van looked lost. So yeah. He's a scrub. He's a scrub. So I'm glad that the Rams they're going to have a trio. I mean, this could very well be a playoff team. I mean, the Rams and Bucks, Bucks and Commanders in the NFC have really impressed me so far with teams I didn't think were going to be very good. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Puka. Puka.
So would you take Puka over Jordan Addison right now?
Right at this second, yes. Come back to me in week 10 because then it's going to be more of a, kind of pick 'em. But right now, yeah, Puka, absolutely.
Yeah, I think Puka and Jordan Addison are probably the better rookies that are standing out right now out of the rest of the guys. I haven't done my rest of, well, I keep tabs on all the rookies and I haven't filled in all the statistics yet. That's why I was going to kind of see where everybody kind of lied. But I think Puka and Jordan Addison are probably the guys that are kind of standing out right now. JSN hasn't really done much. So, but yeah, make sure you guys get Puka in your lineups. Keep him in your lineups. Trade for him if you need to, if at all possible. If if you can get him in your lineups, do that as well. Our next guy is T. Higgins, 28 points. He was out in 88% of the snaps, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 89 only 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. This was what really, this game was kind of, it must have been a T. Higgins game because, sometimes these guys swap. Maybe every once in a while him and Chase, it's Chase one week, then T. Higgins the other week, but T. Higgins must have been his week to actually do something because I know last week on our last segment, our Ghostin segment, he wasn't there. He just like a no show. This week he's like he did that. Hey guys, I'm actually going to show up this week kind of thing. So T. Higgins looked pretty good. I mean, this is I kind of hopefully like he does this more often a little bit. I mean, target wise, yes, good. That 12 to 13 is good enough for him target wise. Because Chase needs his targets as well. But overall, T. Higgins, I actually drafted him in some leagues too as well for like my number. Well, in one league, he's actually my number 1 wide receiver, but overall, I mean, he's like probably some people's number 2 wide receiver in most of their lineups as well. But overall, shitty game from the Bengals. They didn't look that great, but T. Higgins did look great. Joe Burrow still doesn't know what he's doing. He's injured a little bit. That calf is kind of probably hurting him, which is probably why he didn't really play that well. Just kind of tossing these little balls. But I think he had that his calf on his mind too much, which reflected him not playing well on the field. That was my kind of overall thoughts on that. But what's your takeaways?
I would and to piggyback off that, now, if it's a year-to-year league, now might be the time to move off T. Higgins. Now might be the time to trade him. Because I think if you were to ask me, I think Joe Burrow is going to the IR. I think Joe Burrow is going to be out probably the next however long it takes, 4 or 5 games. And, that's a one-man show. I mean, that's like Mahomes level. Josh Allen, when one of these top 5 QBs goes down, the whole offense suffers. I don't think it's going to be a situation where the backup comes in or they trade for somebody. There's no point in that. I mean, Burrow ain't done for the year, but now might be the time to move off T. Higgins. If it's a year-to-year league, I would definitely, now that, T's back. He had a monster game, 89 yards, 2 TDs. Now might be the time to do it. Don't touch Chase. I mean, Jamar Chase is still the clear-cut number 1, but it's good. I think it's going to affect Higgins and it's going to affect Tyler Boyd more than it will Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is going to still eat. So,
yep.
Yeah, I think Burrow's going to be out for a minute.
Very well. I heard. Well, I had Chase said, I don't want to see Burrow until like week 5 or whatever. It was a tweet I think he sent out or something like that. But yeah, if your quarterback is not right, yeah, I mean, your offense is going to suffer, and it showed. They didn't look that great. I mean, Chase. We'll be talking about Chase too a little bit later on. But I mean, overall, I mean, it just sucks. I mean, Chase was pretty much a round 1, player we all drafted, and he hasn't really done a whole lot. I mean, compared to Jefferson and a lot of these other guys. So I mean, T. Higgins can prove he can be kind of like that wide receiver 1, pretty much 1A, 1B kind of guy. I mean, he's not as lead as Chase, but he's got the talent to actually, fill in if Chase is gone. So I mean, they still got weapons, but overall, I mean, T. Higgins, if you can trade for him, sure. If you're a T. Higgins lover, go for it. I got one more, and then we can get into your guys real quick. Just highlighting James Cooks here real quick. He looks good. I mean, he looked better than he did last year. I mean, they're giving him the carries that he right. I mean, they're giving him the carries that he needs. He had 19 points. He was out there in 59% of snaps. 17 attempts for 123 yards, no touchdowns, but he had 2 touchdowns. He had 4 receptions for 36 yards. But I mean, overall, I mean, he looks good when he runs, and that's what they need. And if they can get to a bounce where they can do a little toss, shake in a little James Cooks, I I like where this is going. I mean, James Cooks is a guy that was held back from Singletary, and when he runs good. I mean, he's got that speed to him. He sees the holes real quick. I mean, he's got that quick burst as well, and which is why I love James Cooks. And I don't really have many shares of him, but overall his performance this week was this is what we want from him.
Now, some might say I have a quick burst through the hole myself, but I think we were a year, especially you. I'll give you credit. You were on James Cook last year. I think we were a year ahead, meaning that because some of these guys, I mean, it might be same case next year. One of these rookies that is kind of slow, it just pops and has like 1,100 yard season. One of these first year backs. Like Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs might be next year. David Montgomery, if he's gone or injuries take him out, like he could be a 1,200, 1,300 yard back and then just pops. I think that's going to be with James Cook this year. I think Buffalo realizes if they're going to do anything, because Josh Allen's a turnover machine. I was reading a stat on the TV, man. Josh Allen has the most turnovers by a quarterback since 2018. You know what I mean? And that's when he entered the league. So since he entered the league, he's number one in quarterback turnovers. Hand the ball off to James Cook. Let him eat. We could be looking. Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't see any reason that James Cook can't continue this. So if he's out there and he's still got, everybody knows his brother Dalvin, everybody famous running back, I'd go snag him up. I'd go make a trade for him right now. Go, because you mark it down. He'll be 1,000-yard running back. He will be 1,000-yard back. And 123 is a good start. And I like that he's involved in the passing game too, and he's going to be with Josh Allen on there. He's Singletary on steroids. This is what the Bills always wanted and needed. And he's gonna get a face.
Yep, and I was just looking here. Latavius Murray was involved a little bit. He was on 23% of the 23% of the snaps. Damian Harris was actually only out there in 18%.
He's still in the league.
So
what?
Yes, I know. Yep, I know, right? Latavius Murray. Man, this guy's got to be 40 years old already. But overall, right now, James Cooks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He'll be their main guy. I mean, then you sprinkle in a little Damian Harris and Murray. Even though his downfall is, Cooks didn't get a touchdown. The other two guys had a touchdown in this game, but I mean, yeah, they wanted. They came back and showed up. They actually showed up and played a ball, played some games and all that good stuff. But overall, Cooks is the main guy in that backfield. Yeah, let's get to your famous guy you want to talk about, and then we'll get into some other stuff after this.
Okay, I'm gonna show Jay's graphic first because it's such a well. Look at how nice and clean that is. So Brian Robinson, everybody knows, tore it up. 87 yards rushing, 2 TDs, 2 grabs, 42 yards. Really assisted in the Commanders' win over the Broncos, and I've been impressed. You know what? I like guys that you could easily pick up later in your draft or in the waivers. And Brian Robinson wasn't a highly. I mean, he was drafted, obviously. He's probably a mid-round pick. Sam Howell, late-round pick. If in some leagues, if just one quarterback, he wasn't drafted. I mean, he's still available in 20% of Yahoo leagues. So this whole Commanders team, I've been impressed with. And this guy is the fuel of the fire. And I mean, there's a couple other guys, could have went with a few other options. Jerome Ford from the Browns, but I'll change it up. Jerome Ford's probably going to have another monster game, and maybe in a couple weeks or something. And he'll be my gold star player of the week. But that's what I'm going to call this segment. Eli's gold star for week 2. It's like the little stars you got, from third grade that you put up on the fridge, and mom was all proud and shit. So this is what it's kind of going to look like. Love Jay's graphic, and it's kind of the one that I'm going to be putting up. And it gives a whole season. So I'll have the stats on the left side, and then the whole season. So first week wasn't terrible. He had 59 yards rushing, So kind of a pedestrian week, but this week he really popped. And week 1 he had a receiving touchdown, so he's got 3 touchdowns so far in 2 games. So been very, very impressed, and he's got a nice running mate. Antonio Gibson's a nice sidekick, and I've been impressed with the Commanders. So I thought I'd give him a shout out there.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. With Brian Robinson, I mean, he, with him kind of getting worked in last year a little bit, and then to this year kind of actually being their main guy, and we all kind of hoped that Gibson could have been that guy, but I mean, it kind of tides turn a little bit. I mean, even though Robinson was a rookie last year and whatnot, I mean, it was kind of kind of one of those hard things. Do I take Brian Robson or do I take a Gibson? Because these two kind of subside each other a little bit. They're almost similar players when they went in their run game. And Brian Robson's probably just a little bit better than Gibson. Gibson's a little bit more brute.
Yeah,
Robson's more their speedster. In this offense, and he actually had some good runs. I mean, he actually tore up some guys, and I think he had a nice stiff arm with one of them. They were talking about it on Good Morning Football. There's a segment on there that I love. They call it angry runs, and Brian Robson, I think, was in one of those. CMC won it. Yeah, CMC won it, but in that game. But overall, Brian Robson was a contender in that. Getting one of those little things that they always hand out to guys. But Brian Robson looks good. He was actually out there in 52% of snaps. Right. Now Gibson was out there about 48% of snaps, but he didn't really do anything with a lot of his carry. He didn't really have any carries. So probably going forward, Robinson will probably be the guy getting more of the bulk of the carries overall in general. So, but yeah, that's our takeaways on our highlighted players. Now we need to get into some waivers. It's waivers time, man, because that's why we're all here for. It's Tuesday. Everybody's trying to get into the lineup, so it's that time of the show where we need to get it in, talk about a bunch of players. I think Eli covered a lot of Yahoo. I'll actually cover some more of the stuff I actually on the sleeper side. So if you're both in Yahoo or sleeper or playing both leagues, you get taste of both sides of the waivers. So, but I think it's time to get to these waivers, and we have a lot more to kind of. We got Eli's bargain bins for DFS, and we got my other segment too. And then to wrap up the show, we'll get into the college spotlight segment to wrap up our show. Before we get there, Eric says Commanders have a good offense coordinator. Yes, because they have the guy from the Chiefs. That's why. But
Eric Bieniemy, yeah, a lot of teams are probably regretting not hiring him as a head coach. I mean, but it's benefiting Washington. And if they did ever move off Ron Rivera, they got a coach in waiting, kind of like what's going on with the Chargers. Like they have a coach in waiting anytime they want to pull the trigger. So yeah, Bieniemy's doing a great job.
Yep. All right. Time to. Yes, it is.
I like money. Money. Show me the money. All right. So I'm going to do my Fab 5 pickups of the week. Yep. Give me that. Ching, baby. Jay's going to have the sleeper side of it. This is for Yahoo. And Yahoo, probably similar to, Sleeper and ESPN, but it's a little bit different. So that would give you both perspectives because these are the most common platforms for, for fantasy, especially Yahoo. So
Yahoo plays.
I had Baker Mayfield at number 1 last week. Yeah, down the fact. Baker at number 1 last week. He went up a couple percentage points. He was 13% rostered last week, and now he's at 15%. So, I think if you need a backup quarterback, especially with Joe Burrow being injured, if you're in a 2 quarterback league and Baker's somehow available, what are you doing? That's manager negligence, not to go snag him up or at least a backup. I mean, he's probably not a top 12 fantasy quarterback right now, but I think he's playing like a top 20 guy. So you can find some space. You need a couple weeks stopgap for Burrow being out. go get Baker. He's still available in a lot of leagues. It'd be interesting to see what he does against the Philly defense, but Mac Jones wasn't that bad against them, week 1. So Baker might have some success Monday night. Josh Reynolds. This I don't know how the word hasn't gotten out yet. I mean, the way he's being targeted. I mean, he's right up there with Puka. I mean, Puka's crazy 35 targets, I think, or 37 or something crazy. But I mean, Josh Reynolds ain't far behind that. I mean, he's being targeted heavily, backing it up with a bunch of receptions. We're not really getting the national pub. Everybody's in love with Puka now, or a couple other guys. So, Josh Reynolds, because he's more of a journeyman. He was with, everybody remembers him with the Rams when he first came in. He was kind of their like third or fourth receiver, and then he was with Tennessee for a cup of coffee, and now he's having some success with Detroit. Right now, he's playing like the number 2. He really is. He's right behind St. Brown. He's kind of playing like their number 2 receiver. So I would go snag him up. 13% of leagues. Need I say more? Number 3. Now this is where it gets debatable. I mean, you could honestly, I made the graphic last night during the games, or a little, right around the start time, maybe 5 or 6 o'clock our time out here. So obviously, I could have put Jerome Ford in here. I could have put Jaylen Warren, Matt Breida. I'm not a fan, but if Matt Breida is going to be getting some touches with the Giants while Saquon's out. There's a couple guys that could have won these spots, but I think it's fairly, I try to represent each position. I try to put 2 receivers, a quarterback, a running back, and at least a tight end to kind of give you different options for different things. So Zach Ertz, I had him on the list last week. He's only still at 10%. I mean, Josh Dobbs is loving him. I mean, Zach Ertz is for a low end tight end, he's really producing right now. So I would take advantage of that, because you don't know how long it's going to last, because Zach Ertz is older and he's got injury history. But right, for the time being, Zach Ertz, in a deeper league, in a 16-man league, you could probably start Zach Ertz every week. Honestly, 12-man, it's really getting sketchy at that point, but 16-man, definitely. Tajee Spears have it number 4, because if you would have told somebody last week at this time, hey, go snag Jerome Ford, I mean, people would have been like, okay, maybe, but because nobody saw Nick Chubb going down for the year. Nick Chubb has been, since he came into the league, he's been a workhorse. I mean, who could have seen that coming? But now we're telling you, go get Tajee Spears, because if something happens to Derrick Henry, this is the guy. This is the guy that offense is set up for the run. So I could easily see him taking over and kind of doing what Jerome Ford's gonna be doing with Cleveland. Kind of, there's not much of a drop off, in terms of production. And Tajee Spears could be the guy every week getting 90 yards and a touchdown. And you'll thank us. You'll be like, wow, Eli and Jamie, you called that a week early. You're damn right, because I don't trust Derrick Henry's health. And number 5, like I said, this is also subjective. Put Tank Dell at number 5, because he's getting targets. And finally, in week 2, he kind of stepped up a little bit. CJ Stroud, honestly, I wasn't a fan of him coming in, but he's first 2 weeks he hasn't looked too bad. I gotta give the devil his due. CJ Stroud has been slinging the ball around and had a really good week 2. The Texans aren't very good, and he's not getting the dubs to back that up. But in terms of passing yards and touchdowns, he's slinging it to everybody. He's slinging it to Robert Woods, slinging it to Nico Collins, who's going to be in my DraftKings list here, and Tank Dell now. Tank Dell is probably the number 3 or 4 guy, probably more number 4, but worth looking at, because if one of these, Robert Woods is 33, he goes down, boom, he jumps him. He could see himself getting, number 3 receiver targets soon. And with that Texans offense, I mean, the way they're slinging it around, I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. That's like the same level of production you'd be getting from, like Tyler Boyd with the Bengals. So those are my Fab 5 pickups.
All right. So if they're I think I wrote down a couple more other guys too as well. If Jalen Reed is out there, he's their rookie with the Packers. They all sound similar. He had 13.
Packers.
He had 30. Yep, he had 13 targets in that game. So it's very possible that Jordan Love is kind of slinging it around to other guys, and we still don't know the state of Christian Watson. So until then, get if you need somebody, Reed will be another guy to maybe squeeze in there. I got, especially in deeper leagues, but if you 10-man, probably not so much. Maybe 12 if you need it. The other guy too is, I didn't get him on here, but Jalen Hyatt. We talked about him. If you need somebody, it might be slim. He's probably taken in a lot more of the deeper leagues. But Jalen Hyatt is another guy to take a look at. Oh yeah, I was gonna say quick too on Zach Ertz. He did have 8 targets in that game. He had 6 for 65. So I mean, with the Cardinals needing, with Dobbs kind of being there, he's kind of more, not quite, Kyler Murray, but he's mobile, So I mean, if he needs to get it out quick, he'll get it out quick. So I mean, if he needs, if Ertz is open, Ertz is not a bad. I mean, he might be older, but yeah, Ertz is not a bad guy to actually pick up. So far to sleeper sides, there. I was actually looking here. Kareem Hunt is out there, so if you can, go snag him up. Jerome Ford, let me backtrack here quick. Kareem Hunt is 23% rostered. He's out there in most of these smaller leagues. Deeper leagues, don't even look. I actually had I even tried looking for Ford in a deeper league, which I'll pop those up here in a little bit too. Not available. Not available. So I'm screwed. I have Chubb and I'm screwed. So I'll have to be trying to make a trade somehow or some way before the weekend. But yeah, these two guys, if you Kareem Hunt probably more likely will be signed by the Browns. So go out and snag him up. He already knows the offense, so it's very possible Hunt will be Brown before before the weekend. Jerome Ford, yeah, if you need to go pick him up in case Hunt is not signed. They have, even though they have Pierce Strong there, Jerome will probably be the guy going forward. Matt Breida, guy like me, like in deeper league, Matt Breida's out there, so I might have to like heavily try to get Matt Breida for the next 3 weeks if all possible. Josh Reynolds, we mentioned already mentioned him. He's seen 13 targets in that game. So I mean, if you guys need a wide receiver, go get Josh Reynolds. Tony Jones, 0% rostered. Jamal Williams will probably be out for a while. It sounds like his injury he might be gone for probably a few weeks. Tony Jones is actually a 1 week rental for this week because Kamara will be back the following week. So if you need Jones, go out and snag him for the 1 week and then dump him because Kendra Miller will be back too as well. Kendra Miller will probably be playing this upcoming week too as well. So Jones might get a little bit in that. And then we might just mention Tank Dell. Tank Dell's out there in 21% of leagues too as well. I thought I'd written down how many targets he ended up gotten in that game, but I don't remember offhand. So other than that, Tank Dell's on the rise.
I think it was like 8 to 10 for targets.
Yeah. I think it was, yeah. I think it was somewhere right in there too. I didn't write it down, but yeah, I think it's pretty close. I think it's pretty close to that. But yeah, other than that, those are kind of those 10 to 12-man leagues on sleeper, and then the deeper leagues.
One sec, Jake. I was gonna, if that's sorry that. No, that's fine. If you want to get through the sleepers too, yeah, however you want.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me get on the leagues quick. I'll chime in and then you can get to the sleeper. Okay. Yeah, Kareem Hunt. Yeah, it don't matter. There we go. Okay. Kareem Hunt. I would assume he's the backup because you got to get into playing shape. He's not going to step it if the Browns do end up signing him. I know he met with them today. If they do end up signing him, which I think is likely, he knows the offense and he was there for a couple years. He's still going to be the backup. So Jerome Ford is the guy of the two that you want. And maybe later in the season that changes. Maybe week 11, 12, 13. Maybe Kareem is in the football shape and he takes over the lead role, or something happens with Jerome Ford, he gets hurt. But yeah, just to get that out of the way. And Tony Jones. Had a nice game, but I think that's another one of those 1 week pop guys that you should stay away from because I think Kendry Miller's going to start because Alvin Kamara is still suspended. Jamal Williams is going to, more than likely be out. So Kendry Miller, who me and Jamie talked about in the offseason, probably get the go. And he might put up some decent numbers, especially in DFS. He's going to be a cheap option. probably way down the list. So, and especially here, I would assume Kendry Miller is probably less than 10% rostered. Can't be anything more than that. So Kendry Miller, of the two Saints backs, I would say he's the better pickup or play than Tony Jones.
Yep. All right. Now, my top sleeper 6. Josh Downs. He's still out there in 11% rosters. He actually had I guess I didn't write down his targets. What the hell's wrong with me? But he's still out there. I think he had like 8 targets somewhere in there in that game. So he's still getting targeted. Nelson Aguilar, he actually seen more targets actually out of Bateman and Duvernay. If you need somebody in a deeper league, if you need a body now, Aguilar probably won't hurt.
It's pretty much what he is.
Yeah. The other guy too is Chase Claypool, 7% rostered. He actually had 8. Oh, so Nelson Aguilar. I did write down there. So Josh Downs had 5 targets in that game. Nelson Aguilar had 6 targets in that game, and then Claypool, who had 8 targets in that game. So he's another guy. Even though the Bears are looking kind of bad, they got to throw the ball somewhere. And if you're in a deeper league, I think overall Chase is a decent guy from what I've seen on the waivers. Chase Claypool is, and he has the capability of actually, I think he had a touchdown. Yeah, he did have a touchdown. So he's kind of the second wide receiver, and not for a deeper play, not bad. Cade Auden, he actually had 6 targets in that game. If you're looking for a tight end, I think Cade Auden, not a bad. Didn't see Ertz. He's probably long gone anyway. So these are kind of just slim to very. If you need somebody, Cade Auden is a guy to look at. The other guy I had was John Bates, just in case their other guy. I can't think of the other guy. Their tight end gets hurt, or if he's out from concussions, because he kind of got injured in that game. Bad cheap shot. And then Matt Breida, 2%. We're in this 16-man league. I have to try to get Matt Breida, even though not a worthy option. It's kind of crappy, but I wish there was Kareem Hunt or Ford was still an option out there. Not a chance. So I have to figure out how much money I want to spend on Matt Breida to try to get in my leagues as well. But not a bad option. We'll have to we'll have to kind of see how Eric Gray kind of fills in there if he's the better back out of Matt Breida. So probably wouldn't hurt to try to maybe pick up both if all possible, because you can totally just drop one or the other. I know Eric Gray is out there in some leagues, and my last one is Joshua Dobbs. Yeah, he had a touchdown. He's kind of feeling for Murray right now, but for if you need a guy, I was looking into 2 QB leagues. I would be honestly, I'd probably starting him over guys like CJ Stroud, Stafford is out there in some 2 QB leagues, probably not so much in a lot of other leagues. I would take him over Mac Jones, Bryce Young, Ryan Tannehill's out there. So I sure in the hell wouldn't want Desmond Ridder or Zach Wilson. So Ridder, maybe CJ are kind of 2 guys, but Dobbs would be a guy you probably would want even over CJ. I would have to see another game from CJ with another 300-yard game and two touchdowns or something like that. So Dobbs is mobile as well. CJ was looking a little bit better than he did last week, but if you need somebody, Joshua Dobbs is the guy.
And just to kind of put my 2 cents on the sleeper 6 here, be interested to see if Anthony Richardson is going to play on Sunday. I know he had a concussion in week 2, but he's obviously we know how good Anthony Richardson is going to end up being eventually, and Josh Downs is going to be one of his guys. But obviously Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be okay regardless. But if Anthony Richardson is out, I think Josh Downs takes a hit. So he'll probably still be available next week or the next few weeks. So I would kind of keep Josh Downs at an arm's length for right now, unless you're super desperate at receiver. Aguilar, stay away from just a warm, like Jay said, just a warm body. Claypool, he's an interesting option because he has, this guy's a head case or whatever. He doesn't love football. I don't know what it is, but like he's got the skills to. That's what Pittsburgh viewed him as, in 2020 is like their number one guy going forward. Like he was supposed to be a number one receiver. So he's got the talent, the size, he's got the speed, the hands, the everything. He's got everything to be a number one guy. And if anybody's going to get it out of him, it's got to be the Chicago offense and Justin Fields possibly. So Chase Claypool, of these 6 options, he's the most interesting here because everybody else, like Cade Otton, he's going to be a lower end, probably the 27th fantasy tight end, somewhere in that range, like not worth, unless your tight end goes down for the year or something and you just need a backup and so forth. Matt Breida, like we had mentioned before, nothing impressive there. Joshua Dobbs has been an interesting play too. He's better than I thought. He's better than he thought. Obviously Zach Wilson, Desmond Ridder. Yeah, he's better than those guys for sure.
Yep.
At the minimum. He might not be that much worse of a play than Ryan Tannehill. I would put him in that same, kind of category, and you could do a lot worse of a backup, especially in a 2-quarterback league. If you need a third quarterback, Josh Dobbs should be your guy. Absolutely, snag him up. That's a good list, though.
Yeah, not bad. That's for what I thought for a deeper league, and these are kind of the guys I would probably try to get if all possible. Yeah, these are guys I would totally be chasing after if you need somebody. So, but yeah, I think that kind of wraps up all of our waivers. So I mean, that's gone through quite a bit. Just kind of recap here real quick. Eli, if you need somebody, Eli mentioned Mayfield, Josh Reynolds, Zach Ertz, Spears, Tajay Spears, Tank Dell. And I mentioned Kareem Hunt's out there, Jerome Ford, Matt Breida, Josh Reynolds. If you need Tony Jones, pick him up, one week wonder, Adam drop him, and Tank Dell is out there as well. So those are the guys that we recommend for picking up this week. And now I guess it's time for some of that little DFS bargain bin quick. And then after that, we got the Ghostin segment right around the corner. So stay tuned on who's my Ghostin this week.
Casper. Ghostin. Yeah, that's hilarious. He's drinking a Ghost energy drink while he's about to bring up the Ghost segment. I love it.
Right? Ghostin. I know, it's horrible.
It's actually a good flavor. Is that the tropical mango?
Oh, yep. Cha-ching.
Hell yeah.
I love it. All right. Let's get this on the wraps because it's just we're about a little bit in an hour and 8 minutes into the show, and I have to eat yet. Yeah. So
get this. We'll get these last segments finished up for everybody. Here we go.
Yep.
Yes. These are my bargain bins of the week for DFS. If you go that route, DraftKings is my favorite, so that's what we usually go with. Cha-ching! Yeah. I'm about to make you some. Yeah, I should be on. We should have like a show on CNBC or something.
Right?
We're about to make you some money. CJ Stroud, number 1. Guys, he ain't winning games. I don't care about that. If you're a DF, I could care less. He could go 0-17. I don't care. The man's slinging the ball around. He puts up if he somehow puts up another 300-yard, 2-touchdown game, you just got yourself, easily a top 6 or 7 fantasy quarterback that week. You ain't, you might not even get that from, Pat Mahomes. The way the Chiefs offense has been sputtering, not playing their usual level. I mean, like that's a steal. 5,300, hell yeah. And his running mate, his number 1 receiver, the guy who's been, right up, not quite Puka, but more like in the Josh Reynolds, surprise range, Nico Collins. Nico's been getting targeted. He's been catching a lot of balls. I've been very impressed. He had a decent year last year, working with Davis Mills and that mess. But I mean, now he's thriving. 5,300, I think is a good deal for Nico Collins as well. Josh Kelly, you could have put a couple other running backs at this spot. Like I said, I made this list kind of the beginning of Monday Night Football last night. So obviously we didn't know what Jerome Ford was going to do. Jerome Ford he's probably in that same range, maybe a little cheaper. Josh Kelly, he's going to be the lead back. I mean, Austin Eckler is going to be out for a few weeks, and he's going to be getting all those touches because I don't trust anybody else that the Chargers have in that backfield. So Kelly's going to be the main guy. So why not, for 5,400, take a chance there because you ain't getting at least what he did in week 1. Week 2 sputtered a little bit, but I think going forward with week 3, you could be getting some top 7 or 8 fantasy running back production right there. Zach Ertz at number 4, Zach Ertz at 35. That's what he cost last week. And, we know what Jay just, mentioned that he got, 6 grabs on 8 targets for 65 yards. So that's not bad numbers for that cheap of a tight end. That's money you could throw elsewhere. If you want to go get Jefferson, I think he's 9,000. You want a player like that, you got to subsidize with some lower end guys, and Zach Ertz it should be your tight end. Absolutely. At least until this hot streak is over or he gets hurt. He should be your tight end literally every week in DFS with him and Dobbs the way they're playing. And then number 5, Josh Reynolds. He could have been number 1. Honestly, I could have put him. He's at 4,200 for the number of targets he's getting and all the receptions, the yards. He's an absolute steal. And Puka was here, but Puka's up over 6,000 now because he's just blowing up. Everybody's found out about him. Otherwise, Puka would be on this list every week. And you could have maybe put Tutu Atwell, his running mate, there. But I just thought these were a nice collection of guys, and you got representation. You got 2 receivers, a tight end, a running back, and a QB. So those are my bargain bins of the week.
Yeah, not bad at all there. I mean, it's not. I didn't mind it, but I think it's time. So last week's. So here's last week's Ghostin. We had Drake London. We had T. Higgins, who we mentioned.
Ghostin?
We had Traylon Burks. I know we had Traylon Burks, and we had Justin Fields, and we had Marvin Mims. So who does everybody think is on this list for week 2? Anybody have any ideas? Any guesses out there? I mean, come on. I mean, I'm sure there could be some guys out there.
Oh, I think I got 2.
Do you?
Ah, yes.
Oh, so
I know.
AJ Brown.
Yes. Kyle Pitts. Yes, I called it.
We got AJ Brown on this list. We got Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, and Rashad Bateman. I mean, come on now. I mean, I'm never a Ravens fan, but I'll hate on the Ravens all day long just because I don't like what they have going on there. But everybody drafted AJ Brown. AJ Brown hasn't really outshowed anything this week. He had 6 targets this week, 4 for 49. I mean, kind of it's, if you think about it, it's kind of depressing because I mean, if I had a share of, I think I have some shares of it. I got shares of most of these guys, not Kyle Pitts, but not Rashad, but I got Hall, AJ Brown, and Jamar Chase in some leagues. So, but the showing of AJ Brown is what with the Thursday night game. I mean, Brown should have had a touchdown against the Vikings. Come on now. I mean, this guy's a beast. He should be on the Jefferson level already. I mean, this guy should have had at least 2 touchdowns already in the last couple of weeks or whatever. But whatever is going on, just hold on to him. I mean, AJ Brown's probably starting off a little slow, but he'll reap the rewards here soon. So Breece Hall, kind of depressing, four attempts, 9 yards. It was hard for them to actually get anything done against the Cowboys because the Cowboys are, their defense is just legit. He wanted more carries. I mean, if they would have gotten more carries, I could have seen that he could have done something. But overall, in general, Breece Hall, them playing Cowboys, yeah. I mean, not that I didn't look who they're playing next, but if it's an easier matchup, still play him. I mean, Breece Hall, I still love Breece Hall. I know I should have sat Breece Hall, but I didn't.
Patriots, Jay.
Patriots? Yeah, there you go.
Jets and Patriots.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be a good game. I mean, Breece Hall should actually have a good run. He should have a few good bursts against them. Kyle Pitts. I'm not much of a lover of Kyle Pitts. I mean, I probably was at the beginning, but I'll take Marymuth over him. I mean, I'm not a fan of Pitts. I mean, London had a heyday. Robinson had a heyday. I mean, they kind of had their rebound weeks, and Kyle Pitts is kind of a no-show. I'm not going to show up, but I mean, I know this was one of your guys, but the other guy is Jamar Chase, 5 for 31. He hasn't really done anything in the last couple weeks. I mean, we just kind of mentioned about Burrow not being healthy and whatnot. If Burrow can stay healthy, I mean, yeah, this is the chase game. I mean, I have tons of shares of him everywhere, and I was not impressed with him this week. I want more out of Chase. He should be at the Jefferson level. I mean, there should be no reason that since he's looking this bad. I mean, I figured the Ravens game should have looked a lot better. They should have won that game, but nope, not at all. And then Bateman, three targets, three receptions for 18 yards. I mean, this is the flower show, man. I mean, Bateman's is going to be lost in the sea. I mean, you got Aguilar kind of showing up whenever he wants to. Duvernay, I mean, Beckman or Odell OBJ is going to be out for a little while with a hamstring injury, I think it is. So he'll be out. But we'll have to see what Bateman does here in the next this upcoming weekend if he actually gets himself going. And he has been an unhealthy, player as well. And so we can't really. It's hard to trust a guy like him. I have Bateman in Dynasty League, and I'm just like, he's on my bench. I can't do anything with him. I mean, if he hits, I'm going to try to sell. I'm going to try to sell him as much as in a Dynasty League. I'll try to sell him if all possible. But I just don't like the Ravens in general. Zay Jones is probably the guy that's going to take this over, and Bateman is going to be lost at sea. That's what's going to happen here.
He's more than lost at sea. This is some Moby Dick stuff. I mean, he got eaten by the damn whale. I don't know how this guy was ever a first round pick. I mean, Baltimore, they can't. I love what Zay Flowers is doing. He might rectify this whole situation, and he might turn out to be I think he is. You know what? I'm gonna start. No turning out here. OBJ's out. Zay Flowers is the number one receiver with Baltimore. You damn right he is, and he's gonna play like it and screw everybody. Screw these other guys. Duvernay is not reliable. Neither is Bateman, and just stay away from him. Jamar Chase, you're in a tough spot. Okay, if it's a dynasty team, keeper, like you can't get impatient here. I know it's tough because he's not. I mean, this guy was probably the second or third receiver taken, overall, and you want to get a return for your investment. I get it, but don't trade him quite yet because if you're going to need him for your playoff run, week 15, 16. When you're trying to win a fantasy championship, and you parted with him in week 4 because you got impatient because he had a couple bad games. Burrow was hurt. I mean, Burrow's going to be cranking by then. You think Joe Burrow's going to be? You think Joe Burrow's still going to be doing 140, 82-yard games at that point? Hell no. Okay, they're going to get him healthy, and he's going to start cranking it up. So you'll just have to make do until Chase can get back to being Jamar Chase. Wouldn't trade him or move him right now. It's just you kind of just have to eat it. Kyle Pitts, on the other hand, I'd move off him. He's still got some name value, but that's a Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier offense. It really and some Drake London mixed in. There's no room for Kyle Pitts in that offense. It's sad. I don't even think he dipped that much. I think maybe with a different system, like maybe if he was in a different offense, maybe he could thrive more. But it's just they're not. Yeah, it's something's disconnected there. Breece Hall, just a 1-week blip. I mean, you saw what he did week 1, so I wouldn't, freak out or anything about that. AJ Brown, with the new offensive coordinator there, with Philly being there, looks like Devontae Smith is benefiting more. Devontae's had a few decent games, so it'd be interesting to see if they kind of switch roles this year and Devontae's the one and AJ's the two. But yeah, that's not going to. I don't think that's going to continue either. I think you be patient with AJ. You be patient with Breece. Be patient with Jamar, and then try to, like Jay was saying, try to trade Bateman if he pops a week or two, and try to move off Kyle Pitts if he does the same. I would of the Ghostin list there.
Yep. And I have to agree with that. So that is my not showing up Ghostin segment of the week. We'll have to see who's going to be week 3 Ghostin. So we'll see what happens there. And our segment is done. And now on to our college spotlight of the week.
Yep. Bang this bad boy out, and Jay can get himself some grub, and then you all can go on about your evenings. Right here. Yes. So any of these teams that are receiver starved right now, they have him projected to go possibly number 12. If things were to end now, the Patriots would be picking 12. This would be a great fit there, especially with the whole different because Mac Jones might not be the quarterback. Maybe they'll have a different. And there's some good quarterbacks Patriots get in the second round. So they take quarterback in the second round, and then they take Emeka Egbuka in the first. This might be, and we've said it before, these Ohio State combos are lethal. I mean, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave a couple of years ago, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Egbuka now. I mean, these tag teams that they have, it's just lethal. So his comp is probably Jamar Chase, similar size. He's 6'1", 205, runs a 4.3. I mean, this guy's a burner. Football speed. I mean, football speed is not quite Tyreek Hill. Nobody is. Tyreek's a freak, the cheetah. But I mean, this guy straight line speed, and he's got hands, runs good routes. Worth every penny, right? He's the 16th overall prospect, the number 2 receiving prospect behind his teammate Marvin Harrison Jr. And like I mentioned earlier, probably somewhere in the mid first round. And he's going to help. He's going to help somebody for sure. I could see him coming in the NFL and being a really good number 2, like a Devontae Smith. Being a really, really high end number 2 receiver. If he reaches his full potential. Last year had over 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns. He rushed the ball a little bit too. Had 87 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. That's not bad. He stepped in when JSN got hurt. So this was the guy that stepped in and kind of took over his targets and had a really good season this year so far. Kind of been a little slower, but they've only had a couple games. 12 grabs, 167 yards, 3 TDs. So we expect that to pick up. But yeah, any thoughts on Egbuka? You have many on any of your college fantasy teams at all, or what are your thoughts, Jay?
Actually, I don't have any. I have Harrison, and I have their running back for on my fantasy teams right now. Last week they had this last week they had a pretty good showing. I think Egbuka didn't really have a great game, but I think he had a good yardage. I think he maybe had a touchdown in there. I don't remember exactly offhand, but I mean with his comp
he hasn't popped yet.
Yeah, with him being close, kind of that Chase kind of comp. I mean, well, the downfall is that they don't have a quarterback that can really. I don't think he's settled yet to actually get the offense kind of going. That's why the first week they really struggled. So the second week they kind of picked it up a little bit, and we'll have to see what they do with this third week. Hopefully, he can get a little bit more involved with them. I mean, with his speed and whatnot. I mean, with him being almost like a Chase. I mean, this guy should be a monster. I mean, he should be. I mean, both these guys should have at least a touchdown apiece in each of these games. But I mean, with them kind of relearning, new quarterback, timing and all that stuff kind of coming around, it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of see this offense kind of do what they normally do, and score touchdowns, rack up yards and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I don't have any shares of him. I think he actually is out there in our waivers. I think I'm not sure exactly on that, but I just know he was a guy
I in on that league. What? He's on the waivers. What?
Yeah. Yeah, more than likely. But yeah, that kind of covers everything.
It looks like
Everybody,
Ray Charles playing the piano.
right? So we appreciate. We ran a little bit longer. We just had a lot to talk about. I mean, there's just a lot of content. I mean, since we only do one show a week, we had to try to get in everything possible that we can for everybody to kind of get their fulfillment of us as well. Hopefully everybody kind of gets an idea with waivers. Hopefully everybody has fun with their waivers, gets everybody they need to. And then, the little DFS bargain was kind of fun. That's kind of a nice jump in, kind of do a little bit something different because we both I'm kind of starting to kind of get into some props. I don't mind it because that's, kind of over-unders on yardage wise. That's kind of a little bit more fun than kind of doing a lineups. And a little bit more easier to kind of guests on too as well. But yeah, other than that, we appreciate everybody that was kind of in the live chat. Eric, appreciate that. We had, everybody. Well, so anybody that's viewing or actually watching us live right now, if you go, after we're done, if you missed our show, you can go back and rewatch our show. Just a lot of juicy content in there. So, but yeah, other than that, just make sure you guys join our Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Follow us on there and hit the little bells for when we post a new pod. And make sure you join our Discord. Our Discord link is in the description. So hopefully we can have some people join us here throughout the season. We have a lot of content in there. With basketball coming in, I got a few basketball things in there. So if you're looking for a basketball league, yeah, just a few things in there as well. Baseball's wrapping up too as well. I got 2 leagues I'm fighting for a championship in, so I'll have to look at some of that stuff too as well. So one more week of baseball. Hopefully I win some gold by this next weekend. But yeah, join us next Tuesday. Yeah, it's just more of what you saw tonight will be on Tuesday, and maybe a slight Saturday show coming soon, possibly. We might put a little teaser out there, just for everybody to kind of tune into, kind of look forward to. We might do a little pilot here quick too as well, a little pilot show on that. Just kind of get a little teaser out there for everybody. So we might be doing that here pretty soon too. So we haven't figured out dates and times on that, but we have some good stuff in works for our probably Saturday show, which will be our last call. And there'll be a bunch of lineups decisions if you guys need help with that. So that's going to be kind of the gifs of that going forward.
Well, it's going to be like our version of Dr. Drew. So, it's a love line. It's a fantasy line, but it's a love line too. So if you have any relationship questions, Jay's happily married. You can ask him. If you want the single lifestyle, you got me. But no, it's mainly for for fantasy football. But yeah, that's in the works. That's coming down the pipeline. So yeah, we cram a lot into one show, and it gets a little long sometimes, but a lot of stuff you can split up, and we'll maybe think about time markers down the line too. About splitting up segments so that people. I know we when we watch stuff. I mean, I know my attention span is 12 minutes at the most. I'm like a fly, so yeah, that's something in the works. And yeah, I want to thank Mike for joining us tonight. Go over and check out his show on Palazzo, the Palazzo Network. Jay, wish him luck in trying to claim a couple fantasy baseball championships. I know we did some baseball stuff earlier in the spring with Donovan. Haven't really touched that in a while, but it's still there, and that's why you go over to Discord. If there's sports, I mean, we're into all. I mean, we love all different kinds of sports and fantasy sports, and if basketball's about to start up, like Jay was saying, so basketball's over there on Discord.
Hockey,
NASCAR, if you're into that, we do a NASCAR league with my brother Eric and a couple other guys. So NASCAR even, but yeah, mainly basketball, baseball. Fantasy hockey is about to start up, so all the goodies are over on Discord. But yeah, this is mainly a football show. So
Yep.
and there's a couple big college matchups, so make sure you watch some college football this Saturday. And I think
Yes,
Dion.
right.
I think is Dion playing USC or is it Oregon?
Oregon. I'm gonna be tuning in to that game as well.
Be
But
interesting, man. I love me some Brian.
So we just got a couple more minutes here, real quick, and then we'll jump out of here. What did you think of that? The Colorado State and Colorado game? Quick.
I was up all night watching it, man. I couldn't turn away. I wasn't a Colorado fan coming into the year. They were just a random, Pac-12 team to me. But I'm pulling for this team every week now. I mean, I love Dion. He doesn't flinch, man. I watched a 60 Minutes interview on CBS too. I watched it on YouTube, and he's confident as ever. Just some people think he's arrogant. I just think he's confident. I loved him as a player. I love Shador Sanders. I know their Hunter got hurt. That's terrible to see, but they still got Shador Sanders, who could be a Heisman finalist. I mean, he's got that kind of level of talent, and I'm looking forward to seeing him and Bo Nix go head to head, him and Caleb go head to head here in the next coming weeks. So I mean, college football is really cranking up. Absolutely. And what's going on with, Georgia's still cranking it out down, and Michigan's still good. And, it's the usual suspects, but Colorado, they're coming. That Oregon game, that's going to be the game of the week.
Awesome. Yeah, I was up watching that too as well. It was a scrappy game. I was surprised at the end. I watched, I watched Sanders do the driving game. Yeah, it was just insane. So that I'm probably gonna be tuning in to see how they play against Oregon. So, well, all right, everybody.
Yeah, hell yeah, you are. Yeah.
Enjoy your Tuesday nights, and make sure you get your waiver claims in, and join us next Tuesday. We'll be doing the same stuff as you see now for next week Tuesday. So come join us. I'll have all the stuff in the Discord. So, all right, guys, it's time for us to get the hell up out of here. So from Out of Rhythm, I'm Jamie. That's Eli. We'll see you guys next time. Laters.